actually great book.
So thanks, David, for his comment, and we always love to hear what you're thinking. So if we're talking about leadership, what is needed from leadership in order to decide better, especially right now?
I think, again, there are many things that you may outline as the most important, but from my point of view, your tiny actions which create the atmosphere, the culture in the company matters. We have two ways of reacting to the world or interacting with the world: fight, fly, or freeze, which activates when we feel in danger or not safe, and the interactive more, the more engaging one, the more calm way of interacting with the world when we feel safe. If you need creativity, if you need engagement, if you need partnership, you want to be as much as possible at the safe area, not at the danger area. And tiny routines and actions of a leader determine what kind of culture would be in the company. So if you smiling and if you just saying thanks for ordinary things, and if you spread the good news and don't getting too hard about the bad news, all these tiny actions, they sum up to creating a safe culture. And then you're getting creativity, and you're getting cooperation and engagement, and self-drive, and proactivity, and many very crucial and important traits for a business. But it's very easy to ruin it. So one or two better teams, and all of your team will be in fight or fly mode, which is terrible for business. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why young, amazing, cool companies become obsolete once they are acquired by corporates. It's very difficult to maintain such a safe environment or culture once you became, a giant. So that's one of the challenges, crossing the Rubicon of become part of a giant.
Yeah. So I have two questions about it. Like, is it related to a physical situation? The sympathetic or parasympathetic. It's really similar. So that's what I'm saying. So the sympathetic is a state of your body and how you feel, and you could change it with a behavior, right?
Right.
So that's the first thing. And the second thing that comes to my mind when you're saying that is that in general, right now, you could say that people are more anxious in general. Like in Israel, it's not an example because like our baseline is anxious, and it's even more so. But in general, does it mean that companies are making worse decisions right now because their leaders, their employees, everyone working in there are more anxious?
Yeah. So the first question about the parasympathetic and sympathetic parts, that's exactly the same vertical. And by the way, that's the reason why mediating helps, right? Because you're turning down your active systems, and you're giving a room, you're giving a place or space to more calm processes. So that's exactly the same area. It's not the same vocabulary, but the same area of phenomena. And with regards to an anxiety, let me give you just one amazing example that I have heard from my friend who works in advertisement. In the States, United States, the main way of fighting car accidents, it's just to put a crushed car by the road, right? So it's very common. You drive by wherever in the States, and you find out of sudden a crushed car, put it there as a sign, just to remind you how dangerous it is. They tried here in Israel, and it didn't work. And the same about cigarettes. In Europe, now they cover the cigarettes, but before they covered them. So in Europe, you had that terrible photos, right? That which ruin your appetite for days. And here we didn't have it. And they tried here in Israel and it didn't work. Why? You can't scare anymore. You can't scare us anymore. We are
Yeah.
our basis is so high an anxiety level, so we don't care. We have
Yeah.
real dangers here. Don't scare me with crashed car, right? So there are
Yeah.
differences, and ironically, it makes us better decision makers in the crisis because we get used to. So okay, so that's another danger. Still, it's difficult for everyone, and also for Israelis and those who experience chronic anxiety. But we have a little bit of immune system, if you want, against it. But the general answer is yes. We make, I won't say worse, but less good decisions because we have less attention to actually invest in it because we may act from fight or freeze or fly mode. So if you didn't invest in thinking about your routines or processes, you should now. And if you invested, you may need to invest more because it's more difficult now.
Yeah. No, it's kind of strange. Where is this limit that you're training yourself to overcome or to get used to hard challenges? And when is like that's my top, and from here I break. I cannot really stand it anymore. Where is this line where it passes as
That's
human being and as a society? That's a good question, right?
That's a very good question. You asked at the beginning, you asked about athletes and Olympic athletes. And the difference between good athlete and great athlete, exactly that spot. Where is my limit when I can give my 300% and not to be broken, right? And that's exactly the difference between them. And by the way, one of the tools in their toolbox to actually maintain it it's a very certain routine before they perform. So Michael Phelps, for instance, he used to listen to the same music before he jumped to actually swim. And most of the great athletes, you will find routines there which help them to concentrate and to get the right mood for the performance.
So what you're saying, it's when you're talking about sports, it's the mindset that is the main decision maker here. If they will be okay or gold medalist,
Right.
that's the gap, right?
Right. And it's a bit different from our daily life because they rely heavily on their automatic decision making because they're so experienced. They polished every tiny move, right? So it's a bit different. All of us have specific areas where we can call ourselves professionals. It may be your hobby or it may be your professional skill set. There you can rely on automatic decision making and on your intuition and to polish it. And some other areas you need more assistance.